Hey everybody, it's Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology here to talk about the full moon in Libra, plus the 2 weeks after the full moon, April 5th through April 19th. I'll be giving you the transits and also the videos with your rising sign so that you can see exactly where this will happen for you. I do highly recommend take a look at your chart because it always shocks me how right on the nose some of this happens. Truly, truly. So figure out what your rising sign is, what house this is, and you will know some of the themes you will be dealing with for this full moon in Libra. Now, Libra is the sign of balance. A full moon is a culmination. Libra is also the sign of relationship. Rick Levine, one of my astrology teachers, talks about how relationship can be to anything. It doesn't have to be a person. And I do really love that idea with Libra, relationship to whatever the case may be. And sometimes that shows up in the themes of the house that Libra will occupy in your chart. But definitely people, I think, is also a big factor when we look at Libran ideas. And that is because Libra is opposite of Aries. Aries is me. Aries is individuality. Aries is you and who you are. Aries is survival. It is passion, desires. That is Aries. The opposite sign is Libra. That's the reflection of all of it. So, this full moon in Libra, full moons in Libra are usually always a reflection of some sort, whether that be through relationship with a human or just an awareness that something is out of balance, out of sync. Libra is also peace and justice and beauty and creativity. It is ruled by Venus. Venus is a bright star right now, an evening star. It's beautiful. Go out and look at the sky as soon as you can after sunset on the next few days. Actually, it's going to be an evening star for a while because Venus will go retrograde and become a morning star sometime around August, I believe. It goes retrograde in July. So that's just a longer term thing to think about. And it makes sense to think about that because the full moon in Libra is ruled by Venus. And where is Venus now? Venus is in Taurus. Taurus is the sign of values. Taurus is Venus's second home. Venus lives in two signs. Venus is a benefic and Venus likes the finer things in life. So of course Venus has two homes, right? It's Libra and Taurus. Taurus is sensuality. It is earth. It is a fixed earth sign. So think about things that don't change, values that don't generally change, what you find comfortable, assets, money. That's all a Taurus Venus topic. But right now, with Venus and Taurus, it is also dealing with Uranus and Taurus. Uranus is change, it is freedom, it's revolution, can be upheaval. So Venus just had a conjunction with Uranus. Uranus has been in Taurus for quite a while. So, I believe 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So we've had, this change in values, change in what we find comfortable visiting us from time to time. Excuse me, my allergies are terrible. But right now, with the full moon in Libra and Venus in Taurus, I feel like this may be even more of a magnification about what Uranus has been changing for us. So, yes, it is past Uranus now. It is not next to it, which we call a conjunction. So it's moved on, but it is forever affected. Everything in this cycle is okay. Well, Venus passes Mars. That's a new phase. It's like a new moon, but for Venus and Mars. Venus passes Uranus, a new Venus Uranus phase. We just had the beginning, almost like a new moon for Venus and Uranus. How our values are changing, how what we find comfortable is changing. So the things that we're used to kind of, what I want to say is calibrate Libra topics, the relationship we have with people generally comes first from Taurus, our values. And that's changing. So the calibration's all off. So the full moon in Libra has us going, okay, we have to recalibrate our relationships um, with people and with things. Are things balanced? Do we need to tweak things? So that takes care of, well, Mercury and the eclipse point, the North Node, is also in Taurus. So it's a packed place, and you need to be looking at where Taurus is in your chart too. And I will talk about that during the rising sign videos. Um, it is pretty packed, and Mercury will go retrograde fairly soon. Actually, right after the next new moon, which is also a solar eclipse. So we're definitely about to reevaluate what is going on in the Taurus area of our chart. So this full moon in Libra, while yes, Libra is the main focal point, is ruled by all of this happening in Taurus. Um, so you can think, if you come up to a situation during this time, what is the Taurus part of you speaking to? Okay, so then there's also the fact that the opposition of Libra, where the moon is, where the full moon is Aries. And there's a lot going on in Aries as well. Aries has the sun. Obviously, it's a full moon. The sun is opposite the moon. But it also has Chiron, which is the wounded healer, and Jupiter, which is truth and abundance and expansiveness, philosophy. That's Jupiter. So you have the sun in between Chiron, a sensitive point, the wounded healer, and Jupiter, the truth. So there is no mistaking our own desires during this time. We have to look at ourselves. We have to be self-concerned, not selfish, self-concerned, looking at ourselves, who we are, what our desires are, what we're trying to heal, where we feel like we can't be our authentic self, where we feel like we just can't make it work sometimes. That is worth looking at. Aries has this nature about it, which is independence, it's autonomy. But with Chiron there, we're kind of working with that. It may be uncomfortable for us to be authentic, to live in our desires, embody our desires. That is always Aries. To survive, to be here, the right to be here is an Aries topic. So that is obviously very juicy, right? And especially juicy because the ruler of Aries is Mars in Cancer, which is a cardinal water sign. Mars in Cancer is pointing us to our emotional needs. So if I can, and by the way, it's like a boiling pot of water. Mars is a fiery planet. Cancer is a water sign. So you've got this boiling going on. And especially if we have not looked at our own needs lately. But there is a theme that I want to point out, and it is that it's all self-development. Aries, self, Taurus, my values, Cancer, my needs, my emotional needs, my security is also Cancer. So Mars in Cancer is pushing us towards this nurturing self-care, moving of emotion. Aries is like, you got to survive, you got to be authentic, you got to be independent, you got to blah, blah, blah. And then we've got Taurus, which is like, hey, your values have changed. The things that used to make you comfortable, it's not so much anymore. The things you used to value, that's changing. So a lot of self-development. And then we have this full moon in Libra, which is other people. It is relationship to others. How does that all work? So I definitely feel like this is a recalibration point and also a balancing point. And excuse me again, the balance that this Libra full moon calls for is an awareness. And the reason I say that is because we have another new moon coming up in Aries self. And this is an eclipse on April 19th. So we have two new moons in Aries, myself. It serves us in the middle of these two very self-focused new moons to look at your relationship with other people. How does it fit? Does it fit well? Am I giving or taking enough? Am I overcommitting myself? Am I surrounding myself with people who aren't, you know, aligned with my values? All of these things can come up. So it definitely is a recalibration, a noticing, an awareness this full moon. So maybe you can do that. You can notice, you can be aware. Okay, so let's talk about what's coming up here in the near future. So after the full moon, Venus keeps trucking along. Let me go ahead and share the chart so you guys can see the date that I'm looking at here. I think that's helpful. If I go back, let me just adjust some things. Hi, everybody. I'm up here in the little corner here. All right, so here we go. We got the full moon. It's almost full, actually. It will be full around 11:34 p.m. Central US time, which is where I'm at. Check your local time and date. Full moon at 16 degrees of Libra is where it will be at. You can see there's Jupiter, there's Chiron, there's the sun, there's that sandwich, this healing sandwich that's going on. There's Venus, Uranus, and I've even got some asteroids in here. And you can even see the asteroids are visiting. So Juno, the asteroid of basically partnership, is there. The North Node, which is the eclipse point, and Mercury, all in Taurus, Mars in Cancer. I haven't really touched on Saturn in Pisces. It's not doing a whole lot during this eclipse. I'm sorry, full moon. It's not an eclipse yet. It is sextile Mercury, so I think that's helpful. Like we're able to be aware. It really gets us this foundational awareness, I think, going on. Okay, so let's go on. We've got tomorrow, and I have 7 p.m. This is Thursday, April 6th. This is interesting because the moon in Libra every month since 2008 has had to contend with Pluto in Capricorn. But this time, the moon in Libra does not square Pluto in Capricorn. It will square Pluto in Aquarius from Scorpio. So I think that's a change in late degrees of a Libra moon. It's not doing too much else except for this interesting yod. So let me point this out. A yod. I love a yod. A good yod. All right. So a yod is this. Ooh, it's crooked, but it's supposed to be sort of an arrow-like thing. Okay. There's the moon. It's supposed to be pointing at the moon over here. This looks terrible. That's okay. Venus in Taurus, sextile Neptune in Pisces. Now, when I make lines, these are called aspects. These are how each planet interacts or luminary interacts. A sextile, which is 60 degrees, acts as an opportunity. Neptune is spirituality, transcendence, it's limitless, it's imagination. Venus and Taurus is like, hey, I think we really get how to bring this into reality. But the quincunx or inconjunct is really annoying. And it points to this Libra moon, which is something we have to deal with in order to transcend. So I do, and it's brief. It's around 7 p.m. that this happens Central Time on Thursday, April 6th, but telling, brief, but telling. So as it builds tomorrow around dinner time, I would just pay attention to the relationships in your life. Okay. So watching all these moving parts here. And there are a lot. That's okay, though. April 7th, Friday, the moon's in Scorpio. Now, this is so odd. It's odd because finally, let's see, when does it move into Scorpio? I got to get the exact time. Friday, April 7th. Oh, overnight. Okay, so Thursday into Friday. Let me make this a 0 Aries chart. This is how I work with clients, and you're just going to see my flow the way I do it. Okay. So there's the moon in Scorpio overnight. Scorpio is not a fun place for the moon. Scorpio is the deep, dark waters of our soul. It's empowerment, disempowerment. It has to do with control. And it is deeply powerful. Scorpio rules the occult. So we definitely see into the deep, dark places and desires that we have. So for the moon to be in Scorpio, it's kind of like descending into the underworld. So our emotions can kind of be very dramatic with the moon in Scorpio. And intense is a good word. But this Scorpio moon squares Pluto first. Pluto's in Aquarius. Aquarius is detached. Aquarius is the bird's eye view. So it's in a sense like look at the big picture before you get mired down in the deep. You know, of course, this happens overnight for us in the central US, so it may not be such a big deal for everyone. But as we wake up, Friday, April 7th, the moon will trine Mars. Now, this is a big deal because it's excitement, it is motivation. So, I mean, we may be getting a lot done. It will also trine Saturn, which is foundational. There's this grand trine. Mercury is also here in Taurus. The moon will oppose Mercury. So Taurus becomes the focal point of Friday the 7th. So when you listen to your rising sign videos, definitely pay attention to the theme of what house Taurus occupies for you, especially for Friday. So this is definitely getting a hold of the Taurus part of us. What do we value? What is comfortable? Is that changing? Et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so Saturday, April 8th, what we have is the moon opposing Uranus when we first wake up. That can be a surprise. Saturday, April 8th, there may be something going on that surprises you, that makes you feel like you want to bust out of your cage. That's a Uranian topic. That really makes you go, you know what, I don't care what, the Libra full moon said, I want to be free. So there is, in a sense, this moment when we wake up Saturday that we want something to happen or some change is coming. Venus is now past Neptune, Saturday, April 8th, past the sextile. So things get a little less. I just threw my phone down because I don't need it. Things get a little less foggy, maybe a little less mystical Saturday. And then moon opposing Venus overnight. I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Moon moves into Sagittarius Sunday, April 9th. So this is going to be focusing our attention back on Jupiter and the sun in Aries, back on ourselves, our desires, our needs, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So we have the sun and Jupiter together. So really seeking the truth, also maybe overdoing it a little bit Sunday, April 9th. I would, be aware. People maybe have very strong opinions at the Easter, get together or whatever. Also, the moon will square Saturn. Yeah, this recipe for Easter is not very great. I'm not gonna lie. The sun and Jupiter is really nice together. It's very expansive, but it's also very impassioned. It's very preacher-like, with the moon in Sagittarius also very spreading the truth kind of a situation. And then the square to Saturn in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces can lead to delusion. So, check back in with Mercury and Taurus. What are your values? What house is this in? What are the themes that you're about to really be focusing on? Probably a good idea. And then also Mars and Cancer, taking care of your emotional needs will be very important. Okay. Likely adventure is a big deal as well. It is optimistic. I think this will be optimistic, but the problem is when people get too optimistic and want to just espouse their beliefs on a day like that. April 10th, Monday, Moon still in Sagittarius. Venus at the very last degree of Taurus. So enjoy it while it lasts. Venus at home. Really nice. Um, I think the biggest deal on Monday, April 10th is the moon trining the sun and Jupiter, which are pretty much together at this point. They're not exactly conjoined, but this is very close. So again, people going overboard could be a thing, but the other thing is maybe realizations, maybe an aha moment. It's a Jupiter cazimi, meaning in the heart of the sun. I think the cazimi may be exact. Let's see, is it overnight? No, I think we get up on April 11th, Tuesday, April 11th, with the cazimi intact. Just thinking about the Aries energy makes my allergies inflame. It's so fun. Okay, so Tuesday, April 11th, when we're talking about Aries, we're talking about who we are, what drives us, the survival instinct, the ego, action, passion, motivation, frustration, all of those things. So when you have Jupiter and the sun together in Aries, all of that gets amplified. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a very active, highly energetic day. The moon, April 11th, will also square Neptune. That is, while we have the energy to do stuff, there may be a sense that we also want to take a nap, or escape, just to understand what all is happening for ourselves. Mars in Cancer also leads to that kind of, I need some self-care, I need some rest, I need to take care of myself, Tuesday, April 11th. And then the other big talking point is that Venus moves into Gemini. So actually that may happen overnight. It moves into Gemini around midnight, Tuesday, April 11th. So when we wake up, we will have Jupiter cazimi going on, which is they say it's a message from the king or an audience with the king when Jupiter and the sun come together. So that's really nice. And then Venus moving into Gemini is a whole other topic. It's very interesting. So let's talk about it. Number one, Mars was retrograde in Gemini for 6 months. It's finally left. Mars is now in Cancer. You can see that. Yay. Now we get all the emotion of Mars and not all the headiness and confusion and busyness and buzziness. Okay. But Venus moves in there. And Venus is like, oh, I see that Mars completely trashed your Gemini area. Do you need some new curtains? They look ripped, things like that. That's Venus. So Venus brings a little balance, a little love to this Gemini place that had so much trouble. But Venus will square Saturn, and that is no fun. It doesn't immediately do it, but some people may feel it immediately. The moon moves into Capricorn afternoon, Tuesday, April 11th. I would not count the Venus square to Saturn until probably Wednesday night. And what we have there is the moon trining Mercury and Uranus, which is supportive. That's good. But squaring Jupiter and the sun in Capricorn. How do I make all of this work with the rules that have been imposed upon me? And then Venus squaring Saturn, rules imposed upon me. So Wednesday may get a little heavy. And that continues into Thursday. Oh, yeah, it does. Definitely does. And then the moon hits Pluto Thursday night, April 13th. Again, Pluto is very deep. It's very transformative. It is about the bird's eye view, about how we work together as a society. So the moon, Pluto, it's quick, but it's a thing. And then Venus is coming into its exact square with Saturn, which feels like tension. It feels like we have to put in some extra thought, which is not going to be fun. It's a place we're ready to be done with, I think. But if we get past this initial Venus square Saturn, which is hey, I'm trying to build something that you've imagined about building your entire life. Venus and Gemini is like, yeah, but can we just go out and talk to people? Can we just like, do we have to work? That's kind of the nature of it. So I would watch for that. Still looking at April, Friday, April 14th. Still have the Venus square. Moon's in Aquarius still, so not much is changing. Okay. Did I miss Mercury sextile Mars? I want to see about that. When is that? I just want to give you that date. I feel like I missed it. Saturday, April 8th. This Saturday coming up. Mercury sextile Mars. That's actually really good. So, yeah, I think things get really squirrely once we get more towards the 13th and 14th. And the 15th, Saturday, April 15th, Venus is finally past that square to Saturn. So that will be really nice. And that's early morning Saturday. Once we get toward the night, the moon hits Saturn. That might light up the Venus square Saturn a little bit. I would definitely watch what you say around this time. Why do I say that? Well, because things are going to be emotional. Mars is in Cancer. Venus is in Gemini, which likes to communicate, likes to talk. Mercury is approaching Uranus. And not only is it approaching this great rebel, Uranus, but it's also about to go retrograde. So around this time, maybe watch what you're saying, and try not to, try to ground yourself. I think that's the best advice I can give. Okay, so yeah, Saturday night, Sunday, Moon Saturn can feel kind of like I'm managing to mute myself before I sneeze in your face. I can't believe it. The moon and Saturn in Pisces is an interesting subject that we're going to have to deal with now for 3 years. Every time it hits Saturn, Saturn is the wall, but in Pisces, the problem with the wall being in Pisces is that you don't see a wall in the fog, you just run into it. And Pisces can be the fog. So that's why I'm saying, just be aware of that during this time, especially with Venus here sitting in a sign-based square pretty close. Not to be too delusional, too grandiose, and to really think about what you're saying, to really calculate what you're saying around Sunday, April 16th and April 15th, Saturday. Okay, so Monday, April 17th looks kind of dreamy. We've got Moon and Neptune. That's really nice. Not too much else. I mean, Mercury is slowing down, something to note. So it may be worth it to take Monday, April 17th as easy as you can, dream a little dream on that day. All right, now we got the moon moving into Aries, and this is kind of like Monday into Tuesday. Once this happens, we are very close to eclipse territory. So we're also very close to Mercury retrograde. This is going to be the topic of my next video. So listen to this rising sign video when I do them. They're separate from this. I will go over the theme of Aries for you. I won't touch on the actual eclipse until a couple weeks from now. But I will, or whatever this is, April 18th is when I'll be back for a video. But you will start to get clues if you listen to where I say Aries is in your chart and what it's about. I think that's going to do it for this overview. And go watch your rising sign video. Do I have anything else to say? Awareness. Sit with your awareness. I think the Sabian symbol, let me pull that up really quick. A word picture, if you will, for the full moon, because I really found it pretty. Okay, so we've got Libra here. The Sabian symbol for this full moon is a retired sea captain watches ships entering and leaving the harbor, which is the capacity to gain an objective and calm understanding of human experiences in which one was once deeply involved. This is a calm mind, an awareness, looking at the way things have changed, almost like looking at the moving, the going, and the coming of everything. That is what this full moon is. Okay, guys, ecstaticastrology.com. If you want to book a session, I would love it. And I will see you in a couple weeks.